All right, let's get started. Welcome to everyone for joining me today on the Mind, Body, and Character webinar. I'm so excited that you were able to be with me this afternoon. I know it's 4 o'clock, so for some of you, you're counting down the time for you to get off work and start your weekend. For others who are entrepreneurs, business owners who are listening on this or joining this webinar, you're probably still grinding your way because we know that work never stops. And we know that a lot of times we have to continue to press forward in our businesses. And so I'm just so excited that you would take a minute and join me today. We're going to talk in this webinar. It's called Mind, Body, and Character. And again, probably a number of you already have an idea of what we're going to talk about, at least for the two out of the three. But we're going to spice it up and put some additional ingredients in here so that you can really understand how to live an effective and sustained success in your business. That's what it's all about. There are a lot of webinars that are available for you today, a lot of coaching, a lot of just great content and great motivation. And I'm here to do just that, share great content and great motivation. But at the end of the day, I want to show you how it's critical to take care of a number of different areas in your life. So again, I am Chris Bridges. I am a number of things, and we're going to get into that a little bit later. But if you are searching for me on Google, you may not find me under Chris Bridges, as that is the same name as the actor and artist and musician Ludacris. But if you want to find me on Google or anywhere, and if you search Credit with Chris, I think I'm going to pretty much take over the first page of Google. So I didn't have to pay for that. I'm pretty excited. So let's go ahead and get started. And for those who may be joining the webinar, they can certainly jump in as well. So again, this webinar is entitled Mind, Body, and Character, the key principles to sustaining an effective business. So again, we're going to talk about these three principles and really drill down a little bit more. Now, right now, I've got my video camera up. So for those of you who want to kind of know who I am and who's talking, but I will be disabling this in a bit so that I can focus on the presentation itself. Listen, what exactly, are you satisfied with where you are currently? Are you happy with your current personal life and or your business life? Are you where you want to be? Are you reaching your goals, either your personal goals or your professional goals? This is the first question I ask. Just like when I'm working with people on personal credit and when we're doing the challenge, we often start off by saying, what's important about good credit? So what's important about having a healthy balance in your life? And so we want to kind of drill down and talk about that. So who am I? I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a sister, an aunt, I'm a number of other family relations, but most important, I'm a life changer. Now, how many of you really want to live a full life of opportunities? But more importantly, not just live a life of opportunities, but leave a legacy for your future generations. And if you're struggling to figure out how to do that, you're at the right place at the right time on the webinar today. Listen, I'm fulfilling my purpose. And I'm basically, my mission is to break the silence and ignorance about credit and finances and help you reach your goals to have a better life. But it wasn't always that way. Just like a number of people, I have a story. And mine goes something like this. I spent over 20 years in corporate America, in the corporate environment, climbing the corporate ladder, doing all the things that you're supposed to do. I made millions of dollars a few times in that time period that I worked in corporate America, but I wasn't fulfilled. You see, I knew the general principles about finances and credit from what my father told me. And when I was living or when I was working in corporate America, I was able to follow those principles because it was pretty easy because I made a lot of money. I was able to pay my bills. But it didn't take long for me to realize that there's more to life, or there's more when life happens, because I often say if you have not experienced life, you just have not lived long enough. And so, just like a number of other people, I experienced life. But I'm here today as your life changer. As we get through this webinar, I want to educate and empower you to make a difference and to start taking action in your life. So what's my goals? I have two goals for today's presentation. First, I want to identify the people who are sick of hearing no and are ready to take action to live a better life, period. Who is my audience? Are you out here and you're really sick of living the life you're living and you're ready to do something about it? Because you could be sick of living the life you're living, but you're not ready to do something about it. I might not be talking to you. But my second goal is to help you do just that. And I'm going to discuss a special offer at the end of the webinar. You don't want to get off. You want to make sure that you're on at the end of the webinar to take advantage of this special offer. So let's start breaking down and talking about your mind. You know, I often say that the mind is really the birthplace of your dreams. And you see the image that I have here. You know, your mind you see big dreams are right in the middle. But I remember even in my life when my mind wasn't always there. You know, I was divorced before I got married right out of high school, and I had two small children. And I didn't have a real plan for my life at the time, but I knew I had to figure something out considering I left out the house with my alarm clock and my clothes. I mean, I couldn't even afford the car I was driving or to live on my own. So I had to make some really tough decisions, sacrifice my needs versus my wants. And how many of you all know on this webinar what I'm talking about? So you had to kind of make some decisions. But the first thing I had to do was to get my mind right. I had to stop thinking negative thoughts about my failed marriage and the fact that my children had to split their time and love between their parents. I had to rise above all that. I had to rise above inconveniences and privacy, because as a matter of fact, I lived at home with my dad, with my two small children, and I drove his car when I couldn't afford my own. But I had to focus my mind on what I knew I was capable of achieving, despite what I had at that moment. Let's share some thoughts. Let me go back. Here's what I believe about our mind. What we believe, we can achieve. Let's make it personal. What you believe, you can achieve. And your mind is a terrible thing to waste, for sure. So I listened recently to Deborah Owens, and I'm going to share some things that Deborah Owens said when we talk about our mind and our mindset. So here's what Deborah shared. She said, poverty people think day to day. She said, poor people think week to week. Middle class people think month to month. The rich, well, they're a little bit extended. They think year to year. And the very rich, they think decade to decade. But oh, there's another class of people that think generations to generations. That's the wealthy. What are you thinking about today? Are you thinking day to day? And this is not just thinking about what you're going to put on or what you're going to eat, but thinking about how you're going to achieve your dreams. Thinking about how you're going to live. How are you going to take care of your family? Even if your bank account says that I might be in poverty, start thinking like the wealthy. Start changing your mindset in order to get and achieve your goals. Listen, poor mentality, they make your dreams fit your income. But the wealthy make income fit your dreams. I just had a note up in the chat that looks like we're having a problem with audio. If you guys are having a problem hearing me, can you send me a message in the chat? You should be coming in on the conference bridge as well. So we're going to pause right here for a moment, just make sure we get everybody on and everyone listening in on the call. Okay. All right. So if you can't hear any audio, you should be coming in on the conference bridge on that the conference number that's in the email. So make sure you're coming in on the conference bridge and not listening in on the webinar. So let's go ahead and keep moving. So your mind is very powerful. And again, what you're thinking about, you bring about. And so in order for you to have a sustainable and effective life, you've got to start off first with your mind. And then you've got to incorporate another very, very important ingredient or another important factor, which is your health. This is also your body. Without, good health, there is no wealth. So you can't have wealth without your health. And a healthy outside, quite frankly, starts from the inside. See, once you get your mind right, then you need to line it up with your body. It's not necessary to be a size 4 or to starve yourself. And for those of you who know me, I'm far from a size 4. But it is necessary to take care of yourself. And did you know that the wealthiest place on earth is in the cemetery? See, I'm not going to let anybody take mine away. I'm going to enjoy mine while I'm here. I heard a funny story about a husband who had died. And before he died, he asked his wife to promise that she was going to bury him with all of his millions. And she promised to do just that. And when he died, her friends couldn't believe that she actually put a package in his coffin at the service. Well, when they kept pushing her about the money, because y'all know my friends would have been like, Chris, you must be one crazy chick. I can't believe that you actually put the money in the coffin. Well, when they kept pushing her about the money, she finally responded and said, I love my husband and I honor his wishes. I gave him back his millions. I'm not crazy though. I wrote him a check. So I love that story. Listen, his body kind of gave out, but she kept her mind. So here's what I want to share with you about your health. Again, you can't have wealth without having your health. And if you're a leader in your business, or you're a business owner, or even a leader in your home, you must take care of yourself. Your health is a major factor to gaining and sustaining your wealth. And I know you all on this webinar would certainly agree with me. I'm going to share a little bit about, why health is important and why I thought that this was an important thing to discuss on this webinar today. In 2006, I gave birth to my mini me. And for those of you who follow me, especially on my personal Facebook page, you've seen my mini me. Her name is Taylor Shea. And I gave birth to her in February. She is the last of 5. It's a 20-year gap between her and her oldest brother. And then the boys are 22 and up. Well, in that same year, or within the 12 months time frame, I had about 10 procedures. 2 of them were major surgeries. I had a blood clot, and 5 months after I gave birth to Taylor, I was diagnosed with lupus. Now, this was supposed to be a great time in my life. I just gave birth to this God's gift, but it turned out to be, quite frankly, a changer, a life changer. And a lot of times when we talk about our health, we don't really understand the impact to how our health is affecting our business. So here's what I want you or think about. How many of you have had life happen? Well, I recall when I was going through those trials that I was rushing into heart surgery. I had to drain about 2 liters worth of fluid from my heart. And then about 3 days later, I went back into surgery to drain more fluid off of my lungs. And then about 3 days later, I came back in because they then told me that the fluid had returned. Now, I thought that I was going to be a stay-at-home mom and, do some things that I wanted to do now that I had an opportunity to do some things differently. I had no idea that I was going to be faced with this health challenge. Well, after about 5 days in the hospital, I guess it was about 5 days or so, I came back, was able to get released after going back and forth into the hospital, and then, to have this label. Now, for those who are listening on the webinar, a lot of times when I go into the doctor, if I mention that I was diagnosed with lupus, immediately people start to think, oh my gosh, well, I walk in complete healing, quite frankly, complete healing, and lupus can't get me down. But it was and is a life changer. So I want to share with you guys, I'm sharing that story personally because I want you to understand the importance of managing your health. Now let's get into the third factor, which is your character. Our character is so important. Like this image says, character is the real foundation of all worthwhile success. Character is also your integrity. If you're living a life without character and without integrity, your skill can get you to some place, some accomplishment, some level of success. But your character is what keeps you there. If you're living a life without character, you won't be living a fulfilled and won't be able to sustain it. Here's what we want to talk about with regards to character. Your word is your bond. Absolutely, your word is your bond. And as it relates to the character in which you're building your business, that also relates to your finances. That relates directly to your credit worthiness. If you told someone that you were going to pay for something, did you in fact do that? And as a matter of fact, when you're thinking about your finances, how much is your name worth? So if you're trying to build a business and sustain a business and you're not operating in integrity and with good character, then you may have a challenge being able to successfully run your business. So your character is critical to having an effective and successful business. Don't we all want to live the good life? I don't know about you, but I certainly do. Having a good mind, a good body, and good character, that equates to a good life. That's a life with more conveniences, options, and opportunities. A life of peace and happiness, a life to share with your future generations. It's the good life. How many times have you had when you've kind of operating in all three of these characteristics or factors? How many times have you been able to have a life of convenience? I remember a story of a client who wanted to buy a home, and she did a loan application with her lender. And when she did the loan application, quite frankly, she didn't have a lot of money in the bank. So she didn't have a lot of money. For those of you who bought a house, you know that there's several things that the banks look for in order to evaluate your credit worthiness. Well, she didn't have a lot of money in the bank. And the underwriter wanted to understand what was her compensating factors. That's basically saying, what other things can we pull into the picture of this risk evaluation to determine whether or not we're going to give you a loan? And her compensating factor was her credit. She had an 800 plus credit score. And so, even though she may not have hit the mark where they wanted to see in the other areas of her application, because her credit score was so good, it positioned her to get an approval on the spot. Now, there's another story, very similar. New home buyer, want to run out and get a home, excited, getting a piece of the American dream. Well, her story didn't end up quite as happy or successful. You see, she had a 573 credit score. So when she got into the lender's office, she had money in the bank. She had been working on her job, but she didn't position herself in order to take advantage of the home buying process. And unfortunately, she had to put her dreams on hold, or as I call it, put them on delay. So if you want to really live the good life, you've got to make sure that all things are lined up for you, which is your mind is right, you're thinking positively, as well as your health is in place so that you can actually continue to fulfill those things. And of course, your character or your credit is also on point. How do you live the good life? Which path is the right path or the right journey for you? If you're like a lot of people, you're kind of stuck on the side of the road. Well, let me tell you now, your car is not going to move without putting it into drive. Your life is not going to change without taking the first step and taking action. I recently heard Stacey MC Grant say, action, action, despite the distraction. So if you're not taking action despite any of the distractions that might be going on in your life, then you're probably not going to achieve your dreams or live and have a successful and sustainable business. How do we take that action though? What do we first start with? We have to start with a vision. To get on the right path and to in order to move forward in the right direction, you got to have a real clear vision for yourself and for your business. And what will it take for you to achieve your goals? Start thinking about that. But really start drilling down more than just on the personal side, I want to buy a house. So on the business side, I want to make $1 million in my business. Break that down into really achievable goals. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. You have to do that as well with your vision. But I'm going to submit that you start doing something a little bit different. Write down on your vision board or wherever you track your desires, write down exactly what is it going to take. So if you want to buy a house, right beside the picture of that nice colonial or rancher or whatever you want, I want you to start. I want you to put down the number, the 3-digit credit score number that it's going to take, and make sure that you have an opportunity to know what you're going to need in order to get the approval. So you need to make sure that you not only have your vision ahead of you, but you also know exactly how to achieve the vision. I think we still have some people that are being challenged in hearing us. Well, listen, follow along with me, and I'll send out the video. I am recording this webinar, so for those who are having challenges hearing the webinar, I am recording it, and I will send that back out to you. Just send me an email to cbridges@creditwithchris.com. Again, cbridges@creditwithchris.com. Let me know that you were not able to either get on the webinar at all or hear the line, and then I will be happy to send you the recorded version of this webinar. For those of you who are okay, hang in here with me. All right, so listen, you've got your vision, but in order to really fulfill your vision, you've got to have the knowledge necessary. Knowledge is critical to fulfilling your vision. So you got to understand, what is it that I'm going to need to do, or what is it going to take in order for me to walk in and fulfill my vision. But you don't have to be an army. I'd rather you be a general. Get help. If you're not sure about how to do something in your life or in your business, then ask for help. Don't sit there and be on an island. No one can do anything by themselves. There is a saying that says, teamwork makes the dream work. And that is so true. Learn how to delegate, get help, get resources. As a small business myself, I often have tried to do everything. We want to just do it all ourselves. Maybe we think we can't afford to get the help and the resources. But I have come to realize and acknowledge over the years, I can't afford not to have the help. And so, make sure that you reach out and you know what it is going to take. Think about, if I need help to get me to another level, if I don't get that help, I'm never going to reach the next level or my goals. So once you establish your vision, you understand you have the knowledge, then it's time for you to take action. If you've been around me, my motto is, if you know better, then you can do better. So if we know better, we do better. But in order for us to do that, we have to gain the knowledge, take the action, and only then will we see the results. And another saying is, preparation prevents poor performance. I think my senior pastor at my church said that, and I had to write that down. I thought that is so true. When we don't take the necessary action to move ourselves into a better place, then that's basically the lack of preparation. And if we have lack of preparation, we're going to probably have poor performance. Let me ask you, how many bakers, are out there? I'm not really a baker. I'm a box baker, but don't hate, because at least it's edible when it comes out. But if you just had oil, what would you do with just oil? What could you do with just oil? I mean, you could, if you think about what you can do as an ingredient and how many things that you can create with oil. What could you do with flour? So if you just had flour and you were kind of thinking about an ingredient or what you wanted to do to bake and make something that was good, and you just had flour. I equate these two ingredients to, our lives, and especially as it relates to moving forward in our business. Think of the oil as being your personal profile. Think of the flour as being your business profile, and the necessity to blend those two together in order for you to get something that is delicious, which is this chocolate cake. You see, if we need to separate our business and our personal affairs, because there is a time and place for both. There's a time and place to have them integrated, and there is certainly a time and a place to have them separated. And if you want to have a sustainable business To really grow your business, you need to understand the differences between the two and the strategies in order to maximize the two. So, true success is having an effective life and an effective business. It's like when they come together, as delicious as this chocolate cake. So what are we going to share? I told you in the beginning of this webinar that I had a special offer. I don't think there's anything like this on the market. You know, we've been talking about the 3 factors or ingredients for you to have an effective and sustainable business. But let's break it down. How are you going to do that? What do you do? So you're a person, of course, so you've got personal things going on. And then you're a business owner, so you need to learn how to manage your business. Well, I've put those two together and created a program just for you called Credit Startup. This is in my way, what I call you start right, you stay right to end right. The Credit Startup is the only bundled solution on the market where we deal with both your personal credit profile and finances as well as your business. But on the business side, it's not just teaching you how to establish business credit, it's also sitting down through a mastermind consultation and getting an opportunity to really pull the greatness out of you of what it is that you are looking to accomplish. If you don't have a clear vision and strategy about your business, and I'm really directing this to startups, people who are just beginning in your business or been in business for a little bit and maybe not where you want to be. And I can tell you this from personal experience. If I had someone who sat down with me 7, 8 years ago, my business would be a lot further. I've had to learn a lot of things through trial and error, and not having a coach or someone there to kind of guide me through the process has really, quite frankly, been an obstacle for me. And I want to remove all obstacles for you, whether it's your finance obstacles, your credit obstacles, or even your obstacles to having a better and effective business. So here's what this program gives you. It gives you a bundled solution. It gives you discrete personal consultation. I wanted to help develop a plan to either build, restore, or maintain your credit. It also includes a mastermind consultation so that I can better help you not only establish business credit, which is critical to your long-term success, but also talk to you about your marketing, your branding, and of course the resources. Remember, I don't want you to be an army, I want you to be a general. But if you have no idea where and how to access resources in order to make you more effective, then that's a problem. And listen, we're going to throw in a bonus. We're going to give you access into our 21-day credit coaching program, which in 21 days is getting you closer to your 850. And we deal with a number of topics. So this is information that you can keep to yourself, share with others, but most important, implement and take action. We're also going to give you a free copy of my most recent book called What You Need to Know About Credit and Co-Signing. It's the first in a series of books. The next one we're working on is Credit and Bankruptcy. Want to make sure that people understand those two sometimes go together and sometimes they don't, but there is life after bankruptcy in order for you to rebuild your credit. So if you're interested in learning more about the Credit Startup Coaching Program, I want you to text the word bundle to 301-880-0041. Again, text the word bundle to 301-880-0041. Make sure that you get connected with us, learn more about the Credit Startup, and you can get started right away and start taking action to move you closer to your effective and sustainable business. I want to thank you so much for joining me on this webinar today. Here's my contact information. You can reach me at Credit with Chris. The office number is 877-896-2831. The website, of course, is Credit with Chris, and I invite you to link up with me on all the social medias, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and join me on my weekly radio show, Real Talk About Credit with Chris, every Sunday at 5 o'clock Eastern on Blog Talk Radio. So I hope that this has been helpful and informative. And remember, you've got to combine your mind, your body, and your character to have an effective and sustainable business, as well as to live the good life. I appreciate you so much for joining me on this webinar. Again, it is being recorded, so I'll be sending it out for those of you who had any challenges with sound, and for those of you who want to have a copy. Again, reach out to me, text the word bundle to 301-880-0041, or give us a call and get started right away. All right. Until then, talk to you all soon. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.